I've been to 800 railway stations across the country, but that is not even a third of how many there actually are. So at some point I need to make dedicated trips to visit stations if I want to go to all of them. We made one such trip a couple of months ago in London on the Southeastern network, and I said in that video that I would at some point in the winter do another one. So I've moved slightly further west from Southeastern to the Southern network and Thameslink, and at some point I reckon we'll do a part 3 when we move further west still to do the Southwestern Railway network. Our first station of the day is South Bermondsey, one stop south from London Bridge. This is a very small sign, but it's because it's a very small narrow platform that kind of reminds me, I guess, of Clapham North and Clapham Common on the Northern Line. We are quite high up here though, so you get a view towards Canary Wharf over there, as well as the city and the Shard back at London Bridge. I can just about see St Paul's poking through as well. Okay, this is a weird station in London. As soon as you leave it, you're actually beside an old railway line, which would have passed underneath the line we just came in on. But there's a long walk to get to any exit at all. There's a newish kind of bridge here, but you can tell that it used to be much older. And this is where the railway line would have ran to a station called Bricklayers Arms, a now lost terminus station in London. South Bermondsey is the closest station to Millwall's football club, nicknamed the Den. This is the closest I've ever actually been to this football stadium before. I'll admit that the area around the football stadium though isn't the nicest. It's just a bit of a grim industrial estate, but I am going to walk along the alignment of the old railway back towards the station now. I had enough time before my train that I thought I'd walk up the path on the opposite side of the stadium just for the sake of it, and I noticed hidden away over here there's still a bit of old track which would have belonged to the Bricklayers Arms branch, and it is right behind the Den. That's a very surprising find. That's the staircase up to the platforms. As I said, weird station. Back at the station, I can see behind me there a really old tower block that for the last couple of years have been completely disused and has kind of become a bit of an iconic view when you leave London Bridge on the train. And leaving London Bridge, there are a lot of railway junctions around here, a lot of different lines. The original South Bermondsey station actually would have been slightly north of the current one and was originally called Rotherhithe, but when Rotherhithe station, which we know today, actually opened, this one had to be renamed. And just before we go, something E tier, something one thing near. Oh wait, that's not my video. Just up the road from North Dulwich station lies Sunray Avenue, which used to be the terminus of the 42 bus route before it changed to terminate at East Dulwich Sainsbury's. That's how I would have used East Dulwich station before. We used West Dulwich station before when we were doing the Southeastern stations, which means now that we've done North Dulwich, we've still got to do... oh wait, no, there's no South Dulwich. Geographically, East Dulwich station is more north than North Dulwich, and West Dulwich is more south. So should East Dulwich really be North Dulwich? North Dulwich should just be Dulwich, or Dulwich Village, and West Dulwich be South Dulwich? Quite a fan of this station from the outside. It's even got an old fireplace still in a ticket hall. Even the platforms I quite like here, as it's in a cutting, got the brick archways. Bit of a rubbish sign here though. My only experience of North Dulwich before would have been being stuck here for a good 15-20 minutes on the train. Luckily, so far the trains today have been on time. You can fit a really nice heritage sign there for Tulse Hill station. I would have used this one before when I did the 415 bus route, which is completely forgettable. We passed by Gipsy Hill station 2-3 months ago on a walk, and apart from a great view of the Crystal Palace transmitter tower, even more so with the mist, you can't quite see the top of it. The other thing I remember here is that this station has a Fanny the station cat. There's also some fantastic old British Railways signs here as well. And last time we saw the cat skulking about in the garden here. I don't know if we're going to get lucky with a view of her today. No station cat, but that's okay. We saw her last time. 13 years old. She's doing well for herself. On the train from Gipsy Hill now to Crystal Palace. I've only ever done this stretch once. I've only ever stopped at Gipsy Hill once, and that was from when I did the 315 bus to West Norwood, and I was going to Norwood Junction to get the 312 bus. Speaking of Norwood Junction, we're changing trains here. Never really realised that it has a disused platform. At least it looks like trains haven't used this in a very long time. One stop south of South Croydon is Purley Oaks, which only gets a train every half an hour. And I wasn't going to do it today because I was saving it for when I start a walk there. But there's another station nearby called Riddlesdown, which around lunchtime only gets a train every hour. And because I've got enough time before that train to Riddlesdown, I realised I could squeeze in Purley Oaks. Now South Croydon gets additional Thameslink trains whilst Purley Oaks doesn't. So I'm actually going to go one stop to Purley and then reverse because that's just the quickest way to do it. Wait, I've just noticed that Nunhead is an overground roundel. That's wrong. Well, I don't have long to make this connection at all. But luckily it's cross-platform. Oh wait, doors aren't open yet. Trains split here at Purley between the Caterham and Tattenham Corner branches, but also when they're coming back to London they couple back up, so just have to wait for the doors to reopen. Oh, they have now. There we go. Now it's a good thing I made that Thameslink train, as when I checked this morning, all of them stopping at South Croydon were cancelled. In fact, many of them still are. The one before and after the one I got are still cancelled, so I got lucky there. The original plan would have had me go back to East Croydon from South Croydon and then go down to Riddlesdown, but because I realised I had enough time to squeeze in Purley Oaks, which I wasn't going to do, some tight connections, I thought maybe I could get the next train from South Croydon to Purley Oaks and then do a very short walk over to Sanderstead station, which is in between East Croydon and Riddlesdown, but I would have had to rush that walk a little bit. Or I noticed because of the Thameslink train I could go to Purley, reverse here, and now I've got more time to complete the walk to Sanderstead. I've used Sanderstead station before when I did the 403 bus to Warlingham, because rather than get that back to Croydon, I realised I can jump out here and get a train back to London instead. And I just touched in on platform 1 because I thought the footbridge there would bring me over to platform 2, but it doesn't. It's actually outside of the gate line. So I thought it was going to take all my money when I touch back out and then touch back in here, but it seems like it's corrected itself and it knows what I've done. And just to prove the hourly service, yeah, there it is. Riddlesdown next stop. I'm just glad we've made it to Riddlesdown, awkward station of the day. Though I could argue that Purley Oaks, squeezing that in, was more awkward. I thought this sign looked a bit different than usual, and I don't know if you're going to really be able to make it out, but I could tell that this is actually a sticker and it's gone over an old Wallington station sign. Now I've got 18 minutes here before an hourly service train brings me back towards Croydon. This is a very quiet station on the very outskirts of London. Okay, I hope when I touch out here it's the price it should be. Okay, yeah, it is. Oh, it didn't even take any money off me because I've hit the cap for the day now. Riddlesdown is actually a good place to come to for a nice walk. There's a massive green space with the same name. The London Loop passes over that as well. I think it's that blue path there, because it does go to Hamsey Green. which is on the 403 bus route. Okay, so we've had our first delay. This train's pulling in about 20 minutes late. Some sort of problem occurred on this train a few stops back. But at least Riddlesdown was a nice quiet station to wait at. Well, you don't get class 455 trains stopping here anymore. Still get 377s though, like this one coming in. I've never seen a tram only go Addington Village and not do Addington. I mean, these are in Croydon though, if you see trams. Right, so many things to mention. First, it's a shame about the delay, but at least it didn't get cancelled. I'd rather be half an hour delayed than an hour delayed. Second, I could have changed at East Croydon and then changed at Norwood Junction again to get to my next station, but the train from Norwood Junction is going to stop at West Croydon, so I thought I'd just walk through the town centre instead. I've done this several times before when walking between the two stations. Third, there's a tower here in Croydon which, much like the tower near South Bermondsey, is currently being gutted out, and it's the old Nestle tower. I'm really hoping they keep the sign at the top though. And fourth, we mentioned how Dulwich has a north, east and west station, while Croydon has a east, west and south station. There is no north. It's like they always just miss out on hitting all of the compass points. Is Acton the only place in London where that happens? I think it is. That also has a central and a town and a main line and a bridge far up north. But Croydon did have another station. There was a Croydon Central station, and it is where I'm standing now in Queen's Gardens, just a little spur off of East Croydon. I find Croydon such a fascinating place, and there's so many things I would like to talk about here, but I'll just focus on the railway based stuff for the railway themed video, and that is the fact that West Croydon here has no platform 2. It used to though, and would have served trains from here to Wimbledon, which is now used by the trams, so you can kind of understand why the platform is now disused as the trams run on the surface streets. Right, it's actually been about an hour and 45 minutes since we last ticked off our last station, so let's get back into the swing of it now here at Cheam station, which we've got about 8 minutes or so before the train back on the other platform, which you may have noticed has a significant gap in the middle, and that's because there used to be more tracks running through the station where fast trains would have ran down towards the south coast. This is an odd line because rather than heading directly into London, it just kind of skirts along the bottom of South London, linking towns together like Croydon, Sutton and Epsom, and it's one which I've not travelled on a whole lot before. Even Cheam itself I've never wandered around, so definitely a place to come back to and do a walk one day. So I've reversed from Cheam to Carshalton, and I will reverse here too, but this is where the trains pass by each other, so I do actually have half an hour here. Luckily we know Carshalton quite well from a walk we did through here not too long ago, so I'm going to head to a rather special location. And that special location is the source of the River Wandle here at Carshalton Ponds. On our last walk we were at the mouth of the Wandle as it's heading into the Thames at Wandsworth, so it's great to be on the other side of my favourite river in London, apart from the Thames of course. We've parted ways with Southern, we're with Thameslink now on the Sutton Loop. I've already passed through Sutton twice today. Trains don't actually terminate there, they actually just continue right around the loop. So we're going from Carshalton straight to St Helier. The stations on the Sutton Loop are quite weird, because they're rather quiet island platforms with grass running straight down the middle. I mentioned when I was doing the Southeastern stations how I came up with an album on my phone of all of the station signs which I've taken a photo of, because I might as well have some sort of evidence that I've been to them all, right? Well, I'm gutted with myself because I've been on all of London's bus routes, right? But I have no evidence of that. I don't have a photo of every single one. So I've made an album of that now on my phone, and I should have used St Helier 6.5 years ago when I was doing the S routes in Sutton, because I went from the S3 at Malden Manor to the S4 here at St Helier, and I remember being in the shop at Malden Manor. Someone was taking a very long time, so I was worried I was going to miss my train, so I ran out of the shop only to discover that the train had been cancelled. So what I ended up doing was getting buses to St Helier instead. I've since done Malden Manor. I started a walk there last year, but I've still not done St Helier until today. And actually, 6.5 years later, the S4 no longer terminates here, because there's another S route now, the S2, which terminates here instead. And although I haven't been on it because I've not kept up to date with new bus routes, I have just ran down the road and grabbed a photo of it quick to add to the album. That's a much newer Thameslink sign than the older ones you get on this specific section of railway. Like this one, for example. See even old Thameslink branding down there, the blue and yellow. I did think about using West Sutton station before when I did bus routes that ended at Sutton's bus garage, because it's not too far away from the station, but I think in the end I did just use Sutton. I got a bus back down there. It does just look like I'm trying to escape somebody by continuously backtracking, but I'm not doing a very good job because I'm constantly touching in and out, so they can track me quite easily. But I'm about to do that again now here from West Sutton to South Merton station. Now, we've not gone to do Sutton Common, as on a completely random trip about 7 years ago, I just went out on the trains and decided to jump out at Sutton Common and wait for the next train. When this railway line first opened in 1929, South Merton was the terminus of the line, but the next year it was extended through to Sutton. And that train was actually about 13 minutes late, and I want to do a walk to the next station as it's quite close. But it's a 17-minute walk, and it's a half-an-hour service on this line. Doesn't take a genius to work out 17 plus 13 is 30, so yeah, I better get a move on already. I've made it to Wimbledon Chase with only 3 minutes to spare, which gives me just enough time to mention how in the original 1910 proposals for this railway, this was not planned as a station, but instead there was going to be an Elm Grove and a Cannon Hill station on either side of it. In fact, quite a few stations on this line would be different to what they are today. When they were planning this railway line, they thought it might fall under part of the district line, and they would extend it beyond Wimbledon to Sutton. And there have been ideas in the past to also extend the Northern line from Morden to Sutton, but neither of them have happened. The tube is just very scared of South London, it seems. There is a Morden South station on this line, which we're not done today, as I've done it before when I started to walk there. I recall that it was a very foggy morning, and there have even been recent ideas to turn this railway line into a tram line, because much like Croydon, they want to bring the trams to Sutton as well. But what will probably end up happening with that is that it will just be a completely new route, which might mean that passenger numbers on this line will fall, because the Northern line itself definitely steals some of this line's passengers, which is why it feels a little bit quiet and yeah, definitely one of London's strangest railways. And the final station I need on the Sutton Loop is Haydons Road. I almost called it by its original name then, when it opened in 1868, earlier than the section of railway between Wimbledon and Sutton. It was known as Haydens Lane. Lane, not road. E, not O. I struggled to say that. Now, I've walked past Haydons Road station a couple of times. The first time, actually on the River Wandle, I came off of the path to come and have a look at it. And back then, there was a permit to travel machine here. I've noticed today that they've all been removed from these stations, and they would have had a little Network Southeast logo on them as well. If you don't know what they were, you would put in a small amount of cash, it would dispense you a little ticket, and by the end of your journey, you would have to exchange it for a fully paid fare ticket. This was before they had like proper ticket machines at stations. This one still has an old Thameslink logo, which is much better than just the slash of pink they put at the end of the Thameslink word nowadays. And although I've been to all of the new stations I've wanted to today, we are squeezing in one more, which I have been to before, but I also haven't been to before. That will make sense in a moment. But to do that, I have to backtrack one last time to Wimbledon. Something to note about Wimbledon station is that the Thameslink trains here are bi-directional. They only use one platform, as when the trams came here, they took over the second Thameslink platform. And we're going to get a Southwestern Railway train now, one stop to Clapham Junction, almost like a teaser for when we do SWR stations next time. I have a bit of a confession to make. I've made a mistake. I've ticked off Balham on my list. It's colour-coded green on my map, meaning that I've visited the station. I've never visited the station. I've only ever come to Balham on the tube before, the Northern Line. In fact, when I did the 315 bus route to West Norwood, which I mentioned hours ago now, I did think about jumping off of Victoria and catching a Southern service here, but I ended up just sticking with the tube. So just to clarify, just to make sure I absolutely got this station done, I thought I would squeeze in Balham station at the end of my adventure today. I am getting a tube home from here though. But hey, 13 new stations done, plus Balham. We may do a Southwestern Railway trip at some point for more stations, and there's a very, very minuscule possible chance, I'm not going to push for it, but maybe by the end of the year we'll reach station 1000. I like how the favourite and least favourite stations segment is just the outtake nowadays. The Northern Line's loud, North Dulwich, probably the best station of the day. Least favourite, didn't like South Croydon too much. Also a very narrow walkway underneath towards the exit. Not very nice.